Today, we once again follow the path of Simeon Nikolov, the rising star of world volleyball. Last time, we ended with the forward set, and now, without wasting time, we move on to the back set and how to subtly disguise it. But let's begin properly with the basics, the angled set.
In the game, sets usually go in a different direction than the ball came from. Sounds obvious? Well, try asking that of 9-year-olds, and you'll quickly see it's a different story. At first they fight through it bravely, but it's a tough battle. Everyone on the team must learn to set. But we're already subtly watching for future setters. From the previous episode, we know that children need to be robbed of time a little. They need pressure. Why? Because the game won't ask if they're ready. We gradually turn up the difficulty, raise expectations, and look for exercises where time pressure meets the obligation to be precise. And voila, drills with 2 or 3 balls. It works for kids, and it works for adults too.
And once the angled set moves closer to the net, it slowly starts to become a real set, still without a real attacker, more like in controlled greenhouse-like conditions. But someone who's long since outgrown the greenhouse is Simeon Nikolov. In the chaos of the game, his primary task is to deliver the set his hitter needs.
And now comes the moment for setters, the chosen ones. The angled contact suddenly becomes a set, and the ball finally has a real destination. Not yet to the hitter, but to a target. Why a target? Because it doesn't lie. True, there's no blinking target in a match. Sets are made into the space of a future attack. Still, these exercises are the everyday bread of a setter. Then it all starts to mix. Setting with movement, decision-making, small extra challenges. Basically, it becomes almost a game. More drills, more ideas, and finally, it all leads into guided games. At that point, it's not just about technique anymore. It's about reading the game, choosing the best solution, and a bit of anticipation. To make sure we don't overcook our finger drills into something too dense, we weave the game back into the training. In short, competition and play must be part of training from day one, even if only as light preludes to what comes later. And so the angled contact subtly, naturally becomes a set, and the setter's real life begins.
And now we're at the back set, the true test of a setter's craft. It should be quick and surprising without the setter revealing it with their torso or any unnecessary movement. It's a bit more complicated than a forward set, especially when the ball needs to travel far. How to achieve it?
Through the old, proven method, repetition. But right from the beginning, it's crucial that young setters understand that the set should go behind them, horizontally, not vertically upwards with a looping trajectory. We adjust the technical training accordingly. The wrists tilt backward, the pinky edge of the palm moves into a horizontal plane, and the fingers contact the ball from underneath. The thumb provides stability and the initial push, but the final word belongs to the index finger. With slight support from the middle finger, the index launches the ball behind like a slingshot.
And then there's locomotion, a fancy word for something very basic, moving correctly under the ball. It's the quiet mantra of a future setter. They must be quick, but at the end of the movement, they must fall silent. At the moment of contact, nothing should distract them. Whether their body is correctly positioned under the ball, that should have been resolved already. So, in training, we add time pressure and reduce comfort.
Some players simply run to the spot and stop, like Simeon Nikolov here. Others finish with a small jump, a volleyball period at the end of a sentence. That's what we see here from the top league setter from Olymp Prague. And sometimes there's not even time for a period. the player has to drop under the ball, kneel, sit, or even make friends with it mid-fall. That's also how you buy fractions of a second. And sometimes there's no choice but to fly through the contact point, forward, backward, or sideways, like our symbolic guide, Simeon Nikolov. By now, we know that searching for the ideal foot position during a set is as pointless as trying to catch the wind. What really matters is calming the movement so that the running body doesn't get in the way of the thinking head. A player in motion sees less and aims worse, but the game is unpredictable and rarely gives time for calm. Sometimes the setter runs at the last moment, pushes off from one foot just to reach the ball, and sets it mid-air. Whether it's the right foot or the left makes no difference. You'll see both in a match, and rightly so. That's why this belongs in training. We're not preparing players for a perfect world, but for the real one, full of chaos.
Even though we've said that seeking the ideal foot position for setting is mostly futile, it's not entirely without structure. Volleyball may love chaos, but even chaos has its habits, and those habits are worth teaching young setters. Like what? For instance, the so-called pivot turn. What is it? A very common situation. A poor reception, and the setter has to chase the ball 3 to 5 meters away from the net. There, they finish their movement with a push-off from the right foot, turn mid-air to face zone 4. And where the ball eventually goes, that's another story. In any case, the pivot, this subtle turn in motion, isn't some marginal curiosity. It deserves a proper place in setter training. And to close the chapter, a masterful pivot execution by Nikolov.
A setter must possess one slightly naughty quality, the ability to deceive the opponent. In other words, to disguise the direction of the set, mainly through the technique of the contact itself. The point of contact should be above and slightly in front of the head, not somewhere down by the nose. And once that's achieved, the key comes into play. The ball should pause in the fingers for a fraction of a second, just barely, for disguise, of course. Here's another clever trick to hide the direction of the set. The setter should give nothing away, not with the tip of a shoe, not with the tilt of the torso. Where will the ball go? That's supposed to be a secret. So in training, we deliberately disable the body a little, just enough to keep it from influencing the set, so that everything rests on the hands and wrists alone. How? 1 foot in the air? Sure. An unstable surface? Why not? Sitting with legs lifted? Also fine. The point is that the player has no support other than wrists and fingers. Another way to support deception is to separate arm action from torso motion. For example, using a medicine ball. First sitting, then standing on one leg, to add that needed instability, then jumping, and finally, as it should be, directly on the court in real situations. And the climax? Setting in midair, say after jumping off a table. Why all this? It's a full rehearsal for an unstable airborne set. And of course, for the moment when the body says A and the hands do B.
The setter's technique is, after all, different from that of other players, and rightly so. The one who directs the game must have complete command over their technique. That's why we devote so much time to specialized setter training. From the very beginning, we use basketballs and medicine balls. The heavier ball strengthens the fingers and wrists, but most importantly, its weight relentlessly pushes the thumbs downward. The player thus receives a constant, silent, and firm reminder of the correct form. The drills can vary endlessly, but repetition is key. We work thoroughly with the thumb and index finger, then the index with the middle finger, and even the somewhat lonely index finger on its own. These are discrete but diligent exercises. They promote proper form, which we can observe both in a 15-year-old youth national player and in the champion himself. And the sign of a perfect back set? When, after contact, the thumbs and index fingers fly apart with joy as if to say, yes, that's how it's done.